My friends, there comes a moment in every life when the world feels dimmer than it should, when the days seem heavy, and the nights echo with questions we never dared to ask aloud. In those moments many wander through shadows, searching for a glimmer of hope, a sign that better days are not only possible but promised, and perhaps, without even realizing it, they are searching for you. To be the light is not to be perfect. It is not to shine without trembling or to walk without stumbling. Being the light means standing in your truth, even when that truth shakes. It means choosing kindness in a world that sometimes forgets its own heart. It means carrying wisdom earned through storms and offering it gently to those still learning how to stand in the rain. You are not called to illuminate the whole world. You are called to brighten the space you stand in. A word, a smile, a gesture of grace, these small offerings can become someone else's turning point. You may never know whose path you changed simply because you refused to let the darkness numb you. Remember this, the light you carried did not come from ease. It was shaped by nights of uncertainty, mornings of courage, and days when you kept going despite the weight on your shoulders. That is why it matters. That is why it reaches others. Light born from struggle has a strength that cannot be dimmed. So rise with compassion, speak with intention, walk with purpose, and when you feel your flame flicker, surround yourself with those who honor your glow, not those who drain it. The world is vast, and yet your presence, your very existence, makes it brighter. Be the light others search for, not by trying to be extraordinary, but by being exactly who you are, genuine, growing, and courageously human. Your light is needed, your light is enough, and your light begins now. True light is not borrowed from others. It grows from your inner strength, your lessons, and your resilience. There is a quiet magic that lives within every human being, a steady glow that does not rise and fall with the sun, nor depend on applause from the world. This inner light is not loud, yet it speaks loudly in the way we carry ourselves, in the way we choose hope, even when the world offers reasons to surrender. It is a flame shaped by the earliest truths we learned, truths whispered by life itself, that we are capable, that we are resilient, that we are more than the sum of our wounds. This light is not something you earn. It is something you uncover. It lies beneath fear, beneath doubt, beneath every moment you convinced yourself you were less than what life created you to be. It flickers softly, waiting for you to trust it enough to let it grow, waiting for you to realize it has been guiding you all along. To understand that your light comes from within is to understand that it cannot be taken from you. People may question your worth, circumstances may test your strength, and time itself may challenge your confidence, but the essence of who you are remains untouched. You were born with a brilliance that no disappointment can erase. Even when life cracks the surface of your spirit, what shines through those cracks is proof that the glow within you is stronger than anything outside of you. The world will try to convince you that your light is measured by success, fame, perfection, or validation. But the truth is far simpler. Your light is measured by your ability to remain true to yourself when everything around you demands that you dim. It is measured by how proudly you protect the softness of your heart in a world that often forgets how much strength softness takes. Many spend their lives looking outward for the light they already carry. They search for approval, for acceptance, for people who will hand them the confidence they believe they lack. But light found outside yourself is fragile. It fades the moment people turn away. Real power comes from learning how to sit with your own soul, to face your own shadows, and to find illumination there. When you recognize that everything you need is already within you, courage, wisdom, compassion, you no longer chase light. You become it. You no longer need the world to tell you who you are. You begin to walk from a place of knowing, not from a place of pleading. You begin to shine in ways that draw others toward their own light. This inner glow grows strongest in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It grows when you choose honesty over pleasing others, when you choose healing over hiding, when you choose growth over comfort. It grows when you sit with your pain long enough to understand what it is trying to teach you. People often mistake inner light for something you are born knowing how to access, but the truth is, it takes time. It takes falling apart and learning how to gather yourself back together. It takes unlearning the lies you absorbed from a world that benefits from your self-doubt. It takes forgiving yourself for the times you settled for less because you did not yet recognize your own glow. With every lesson, with every step toward your truth, your inner flame becomes steadier, stronger, more certain. But the light within you is not only for you. When you carry your inner glow with confidence, you become a quiet source of hope for others. People are drawn to those who shine from within because that kind of light is steady. It does not flicker based on who is in the room. When people see someone walking with clarity, gentleness, and conviction, they feel safe enough to begin searching for their own glow. Your inner light becomes a compass not only for yourself, but for anyone who has forgotten that they too were born shining. The world is full of people wandering in emotional darkness, longing for a reminder that they are more powerful than they realize. And sometimes all it takes is witnessing someone who carries their inner light with grace to awaken the spark in their own soul. The beauty of inner light is that it grows in response to authenticity. When you live in alignment with who you truly are, not who you are expected to be, you naturally shine brighter. Your relationships deepen, your purpose becomes clearer, and your presence becomes healing. You stop shrinking for the comfort of others and start expanding in the direction of your own truth. You understand that the light within you has never been fragile. It was simply waiting for you to claim it. And once you do, once you understand that no one can dim what life placed inside you, you move through the world differently. You walk with a quiet power, a gentle certainty, a glow that speaks without needing permission. And in that glow, others begin to see what is possible within themselves. There is a tender truth many struggle to believe. You do not have to be flawless to shine. Somewhere along the way, someone convinced us that only the unbroken are worthy of being seen, that only the polished deserve to stand tall. But life has always told a very different story. The brightest souls are not those untouched by hardship, but those who learn to glow despite it. Imperfection is not a flaw. It is evidence of life lived, challenges endured, lessons gathered with trembling hands. It is the mark of a heart brave enough to keep beating even after being bruised. When you learn to accept your imperfections instead of hiding them, you discover a freedom that cannot be taken from you, a freedom that amplifies your light rather than dims it. Every scar you carry, seen or unseen, holds a story of survival. You are not defined by the mistakes you made or the moments that brought you to your knees. You are defined by the courage you showed when you stood back up. The world often tells a shallow version of beauty and worth, one rooted in perfection and performance. But the soul knows better. The soul knows that the cracked pieces let in more light. It knows that your humanity, with all its contradictions and complexities, is the very thing that makes you shine. The gentle truth is this: if you waited until you were flawless to step into your purpose, you would spend your whole life waiting. Growth is messy. Healing is uneven. Becoming yourself is a journey without straight lines. And yet, through all of it, your light remains intact. There is a temptation to hide the parts of yourself that feel unfinished or fragile. You may fear that your softness will be mistaken for weakness, or that your failures will overshadow your potential. But hiding never heals the soul. Pretending never builds strength. You become powerful when you stop apologizing for being human. When you let yourself be seen, not the edited version of you, but the real you, you give others permission to breathe, to exhale, to realize that they too do not need to be perfect to matter. Imperfection creates connection. It allows others to approach you without fear of comparison because they recognize themselves in your cracks, your questions, your humanity, And in that connection, your light grows even brighter. Think of the people who have inspired you most deeply in your life. Chances are they were not perfect. They were honest. They were not flawless. They were brave enough to share their truth. Their impact did not come from a polished image, but from their willingness to be real. You saw hope in them because they carried their imperfections with grace, because they refused to let their past define their future, because they understood that authenticity can move mountains in ways perfection never will. This is the kind of shine that lasts. This is the kind of shine that continues long after the moment has passed, because it speaks to something ancient and universal within us, the desire to be seen as we truly are. Your light has always been rooted in your resilience, not your perfection. Every deed where you've taken, every choice you regret, every chapter you wished you could rewrite, these moments have shaped you, softened you, strengthened you. They taught you empathy, they taught you humility, they taught you how to rise, and rising is far more powerful than never falling. When you embrace the whole of your journey instead of judging it, you step into a deeper kind of strength. You realize that your imperfections have been preparing you all along, giving your light a texture, a depth, a meaning that perfect edges could never hold. You begin to understand that you shine not despite your imperfections, but through them. And so you learn to walk differently, not with arrogance, but with assurance, not with fear of judgment, but with acceptance of your truth. You stand tall because you know that your imperfect steps are still forward. You speak boldly because you no longer chase the impossible dream of perfection, but the attainable promise of growth. You extend grace to yourself because you finally understand that being human is not a flaw. It is a miracle. And in that understanding, in that gentle reclamation of your own worth, your light becomes unmistakable. It becomes steady. It becomes a beacon for anyone who has ever doubted their own shine simply because they believed they had to be flawless to glow. There is a quiet power in the smallest acts, a power so often overlooked because the world teaches us to chase grand gestures, monumental achievements, and applause worthy of crowds. But life has never relied solely on the mighty to move hearts. It has always leaned on the gentle, the subtle, the simple expressions of care that ripple outward with astonishing strength. A smile offered to a weary stranger, a kind word spoken at the right moment, a moment of patience, a moment of mercy. These are not insignificant. They are seeds, and seeds, though tiny, hold the promise of entire forests. When you understand the force contained in small acts, you begin to realize that you do not have to be extraordinary to make a difference. You only have to be willing. Many people underestimate the influence they have because they imagine change requires loud voices, big stages, or perfect circumstances. But some of the most transformative moments in a person's life come from the quiet presence of someone who simply cared. A gentle touch on a troubled day can remind a person of their worth. A few words of encouragement can rekindle hope in someone who has forgotten how to dream. A small gesture of love offered with sincerity can alter the course of someone's heartbreak. Change does not always arrive wrapped in thunder. Sometimes it arrives in whispers. Sometimes it arrives in the form of a person who takes the time to see another soul fully. The truth is, people rarely remember every detail of your accomplishments, but they always remember how you made them feel. They remember the moment you listened without judgment, the moment you stood beside them when others stepped away, the moment you offered kindness without condition. These acts linger long after conversations fade. They echo in the heart for years. They shape the way a person sees themselves and the world. When you offer a gentle word or a compassionate gesture, you give someone the permission they may have been waiting for, to believe again, to breathe again, to rise again. And that kind of impact is not small. It is profound. Small acts matter because not everyone needs a hero. Many simply need a human, someone real, someone present, someone willing to extend a moment of understanding. You do not have to carry the weight of the world to lighten someone's day. Sometimes sitting with someone in silence is enough. Sometimes offering the simplest truth, "You are not alone," becomes a lifeline. Sometimes choosing kindness over irritation becomes the turning point in a day you didn't know someone was struggling to survive. You cannot always see the storms others are walking through, but your small acts may be the single flame that helps them navigate their darkness. What makes small acts so powerful is that they multiply. One moment of kindness inspires another. One act of patience softens a heart. One gesture of compassion awakens courage in someone who thought they had none left. People carry your small acts with them, and often, without even realizing it, they pass that light forward. A word you spoke years ago may become someone else's anchor today. A kindness you offered quietly may inspire someone else to lift another soul. In this way, small acts ripple through time, touching lives far beyond your sight. This is how the world truly changes, not all at once, but piece by piece, heart by heart. And so you learn to honor the power of the small. You begin to walk through the world knowing that every action is an opportunity to offer light. You understand that your presence matters, even on the days you feel unseen. You realize that you have the ability to create warmth wherever you go, not because you are perfect, not because you have all the answers, but because you choose to show up with love. And in choosing love, even in its smallest form, you create impact larger than you will ever fully grasp. You become a gentle force of change, a quiet spark in someone's darkest hour, a reminder that goodness still exists, and that it begins with the simplest of acts. There is a strength inside you that did not come from ease. It was born in the moments the world felt unsteady beneath your feet, when you stood trembling but refused to break. Your light, the one others see and admire, was carved from the very struggles you once wished would disappear. Every hardship you endured became a sculptor's hand, shaping you slowly, gently, painfully into someone wiser, deeper, more resilient. You may not have seen it while you were stumbling through the storm, but the storm was shaping your shine. It was teaching you how to endure. It was teaching you how to rise, and it was teaching you how to become the kind of light that does not flicker at the first sign of darkness. The truth is, ease may comfort you, but it rarely transforms you. It is the difficult seasons, the ones filled with questions, fears, and breaking points, that awaken your true strength. When you had to rebuild your hope from the ground up, you learned how strong your spirit truly was. When life forced you to let go of what you thought you needed, you discovered what truly mattered. When you walked through situations that stretched your heart beyond what you believed it could bear, you found compassion you did not know lived inside you. Your struggles did not weaken your light, they purified it. They burned away illusions and left behind truth. They peeled away everything false until only your most radiant self remained. There are wounds you carry that once felt like they would swallow you whole. Yet today, those same wounds are the reason you speak with more understanding, listen with more patience, and recognize suffering in others before they ever say a word. Your struggles gave you a language of empathy, one that cannot be learned through comfort alone. People feel safe with you not because your life has been perfect, but because your life has been real. You have walked through fire and learned how to stay gentle. You have lost and learned how to stay hopeful. You have broken and learned how to let light in through the cracks. This is why your presence heals. This is why your light reaches people. It was shaped by honesty, humility, and the courage to keep going. Every challenge you survived has added a layer of depth to your humanity. It softened the sharp edges of judgment. It strengthened the fragile corners of your confidence. It taught you to stand tall, even when your heart was shaking. The moments you thought would destroy you became the very moments that revealed how unbreakable you actually are. You learned how to stretch, how to bend, how to adapt, how to rebuild. You learned that your worth is not measured by how perfectly you handle life, but by how bravely you rise after life has handled you. Your struggles taught you that light is not the absence of darkness. It is the refusal to surrender to it. There is a beauty in a soul that has suffered and still chooses to shine. A beauty that does not rely on perfection, but on resilience. A beauty woven from nights you cried and mornings you chose to get up anyway. This kind of light has a warmth to it, a softness, a depth that cannot be imitated. It is different from the shine of those who have never been tested. It carries a quiet authority, a gentle knowing, a strength that cannot be shaken by the opinions of others. When you walk into a room, people may not know your story, but they feel your depth. They feel your steadiness. They feel the light you earned through battles you fought alone. And so you learn to stop resenting the struggles that shaped you. You learn to honor the chapters you once wished you could erase. You learn to see that every painful moment became a stepping stone, leading you toward a wiser, more compassionate version of yourself. Your light today is richer because of what you endured yesterday. Your strength is deeper because of what you survived. Your voice is steadier because of the storms you walked through. You may not have chosen your struggles, but they helped create the light within you strong, authentic, unshakable. A light that now guides not only you, but anyone who crosses your path. There comes a moment in every life when you realize that not everyone is meant to walk with you, and not every presence deserves access to your spirit. Your energy, your inner flame is sacred. It is the force that guides your choices, shapes your peace, and colors your perception of the world. When you begin to understand its value, you also begin to understand the necessity of protecting it. Protecting your energy does not mean shutting people out. It means choosing wisely who you let in. It means honoring your boundaries like the gates of a home that holds your most precious treasures. It means recognizing that you are responsible for the glow you carry, and that glow cannot thrive in spaces that drain your soul. There are those who will come into your life with their hands full of warmth, and there are those who will come with their hands open to take. The ones who see your light but bring no light of their own may try to feed themselves from your flame until it flickers. These are the people who leave you exhausted, uncertain, or questioning your worth. But you are not put on this earth to be the fuel for someone else's fire while yours burns out. You were not born to be consumed. You were born to shine, and shining requires discernment. It requires learning how to tell the difference between those who appreciate your warmth and those who only seek its comfort. Protecting your energy means stepping away from what dims you and stepping toward what nurtures your growth. At times, the greatest threat to your flame is not the people around you, but the thoughts within you. The inner voice that tells you to abandon your needs for the sake of pleasing others. The guilt you feel when you choose yourself. The doubt that whispers you are unworthy of rest, peace, or boundaries. These mental intruders can be louder than any external distractions. Protecting your energy means learning how to silence the noise within your own mind. It means calling yourself back home when your thoughts wander into harmful places. It means reminding yourself that you, too, are worthy of the kindness you offer others. The flame inside you does not just need distance from draining people, it needs compassion from the person it belongs to. When you protect your energy, you begin to see how much of your life was spent giving pieces of yourself to people or situations that were never meant to hold you. You begin to understand the difference between being needed and being valued. You learn that saying no is not an act of rejection, but an act of preservation. You learn that rest is not laziness, but renewal. The more you honor your limits, the more you expand your capacity to shine. Protecting your energy allows your spirit to breathe again. It allows your mind to soften and your heart to return to its natural rhythm. You begin to glow differently, steadier, calmer, stronger, because you no longer carry the weight of trying to be everything for everyone. There is also a profound strength in surrounding yourself with people who honor your flame. These are the ones who celebrate your joy instead of competing with it, who listen to your pain without judgment, who speak life into your dreams instead of fear. They do not shrink your light, they reflect it. When you walk with people who see your worth, your flame burns brighter and steadier. Protecting your energy means choosing these kinds of souls, the ones who help you rise without asking you to dim. When you find such people, you recognize them by the peace you feel in their presence. You recognize them by the clarity they bring, by the way your spirit relaxes around them. These are the people who deserve a seat at your table. And so protecting your energy becomes an act of self-love, self-respect, and self-preservation. It is not selfishness. It is survival. It is growth. It is wisdom. When you guard your flame from those who drain it and nurture it with experiences that feed it, you step into a version of yourself that feels lighter, freer, clearer. You begin to move through the world with intention instead of obligation. You begin to trust your intuition more deeply, and your light, once flickering under the weight of demands and distractions, begins to burn with renewed strength, illuminating your path and warming the paths of others. Your energy is your power, your flame is your truth, and protecting it is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. There is a truth many people spend years running from. The world needs the light you carry. Not the version of you that imitates others, not the image you build to be accepted, but the real you, the one shaped by your experiences, your dreams, your failures, your victories, your heart. You were not created by accident. You were not sent here to blend into the background or silence your own brilliance. There is something inside you, your particular way of seeing the world, loving the world, healing the world, that no one else possesses. Your light is not a copy of anyone else's flame. It burns with a design all its own, and the world, as vast as it may seem, is incomplete without it. Too often, people assume that their gifts must be grand to matter. They believe that only the loudest voices, the most visible talents, or the boldest personalities can make a difference. But the world has never worked that way. Beauty grows in diversity. Strength grows in uniqueness. What you bring to this life, the kindness you offer, the wisdom you share, the compassion you carry, is something no one else can replicate. Your light touches places other lights cannot reach. It speaks to hearts other voices cannot move. Even your presence, your energy, your quiet ways of being can shift the atmosphere around you. You do not need to be like anyone else. You need to be fully yourself. Your unique light is the result of every step you've taken, every lesson you've learned, every challenge you've overcome. No one else has walked your exact path. No one has lived your exact story, and that story, with all of its twists and turns, has given you a perspective the world needs. Maybe your presence brings peace to chaotic spaces. Maybe your voice brings courage to fearful hearts. Maybe your empathy reaches people who feel invisible. Maybe your creativity inspires others to dream. Whatever your gift is, even if you have not fully recognized it yet, it exists with purpose. It was placed inside you intentionally, and the world is brighter because of it. There are people living today who will only find their strength because they crossed paths with you. There are people whose hope will be restored because you listened, you understood, you cared. There are people whose lives will quietly shift because of something you said years ago. Something you forgot the moment it left your lips, but that they carried with them like a lifeline. Your light does not need to be dramatic to be powerful. It does not need to be praised to be meaningful. It simply needs to be shared. Every day you walk through this world, you are leaving traces of your light behind. touching hearts you may never know you touched. And even on the days when you feel small, uncertain, or dim, your light is still present. There will be moments when you doubt your worth, when you question whether you matter, when you feel like the world has no place for what you carry. But doubt does not erase purpose. Uncertainty does not erase impact. You shine even when you do not feel luminous. You contribute even when you feel tired. Your very existence, your presence, your effort to move through life with awareness and heart, these things create ripples. The world needs people who are willing to be real, to be kind, to be courageous in their own way. The world needs people who are willing to be themselves. And so, embracing your unique light becomes an act of responsibility as much as it is an act of self-love. When you step into the fullness of who you are, unapologetically, authentically, wholeheartedly, you give others permission to do the same. You become a reminder that it is safe to shine, safe to speak truth, safe to walk in your own skin. Your presence becomes both a guide and a comfort. You influence the world not by effort, but by essence. You were created with intention. You carry a light that no one else on this earth can mirror. And the world, in all its complexity and longing, needs exactly the light you were born with. My friends, if there is one truth this life has carved into my bones, it is this. Every single one of us carries a light that the world did not give, and therefore the world cannot take away. A light born from our trials, shaped by our tears, strengthened by our courage, and polished by every moment we chose love over fear, and compassion over silence. And so, as you step back into your days, I ask you, walk gently, but walk boldly. Speak softly, but speak truth. Stand tall even when the wind tries to bend you. Let your presence be a lantern in a world stumbling in the dark. You may never know whose path you brighten, whose hope you revive, whose spirit you lift just by choosing to shine. Carry yourself like the heir to a legacy of strength, because you are. Lift your head as though generations are watching, because they are. And offer your light without hesitation, without calculation, without fear of running out, because light multiplies when it is shared. Remember this, the world is full of people searching for kindness, searching for gentleness, searching for someone to say, I see you. Be that someone, be that warm flicker in a cold room. Be that steady flame in a storm. Be the light others search for, not because you are perfect, but because you are willing. And as you go, may your light travel farther than your name, touch hearts you will never meet, and open doors you will never walk through. Shine on, and let your light remind the world that goodness still lives here,